We're on the fabulous Dale Street. We are in the Vernon Arms. It is the absolute business. I adore this boozer. Latham Lounge out the back. They're doing French onion soup for £6. We are with our friends at Erdinger. I'm very, very pleased to be here as well on this Friday evening before Liverpool play Burnley. But the first thing we've got to talk about, Ian Salmon, by the way, Cam Rimmer, Kev Reilly. I keep forgetting to do that on this show because we're all dead relaxed. It is actually very organic.
I assumed it's because we had subtitles.
No, I'd like to think that's the case. At post-production time, Ian. I've had to go to you first on it, Kev. It is breaking news right now that it looks like Manchester City are going to buy Mark Gay for £20 million. The rumour is the wages are very, very substantial for him. But it does feel as though it's a player that Liverpool most definitely wanted. They do not have, and Manchester City do. And everyone, if they're pissed off with that, well, they've got some reason to be.
Yeah, I think so. I think what's irking me the most is I used to have the utmost trust in the transfer committee and the suits and what they were doing, and now it's getting to a point where I am a little bit worried because I don't see the plan. If I'm to make assumptions from the situation that's happened today with the breaking news, is that we couldn't compete financially with the financial package that was offered to Mark Gahey, but that then goes back to sort of January. Why didn't we just get the business done at 35 million? When you think about the outlay that's now going to cost in the summer, the outlay that's now going to cost for us to get a top class centre back. He was English, he was homegrown, which was another huge boon for us. That's something that we really needed. The slot's there. The homegrown slot is sitting there because we had him in a shirt in the summer window. So unless they've just wildly changed tack and they've got someone else in mind and they're thinking we can't compete financially,
or we just don't want to compete financially on this. We don't want to do the wage structure thing, etc., etc.
But he's well within his rights to want to change the the goalposts have been moved. He's well within his rights to say I want more money. If I wait till the summer, I'm going to get a big payout anyway because he's going to get his signing on bonus. And surely the club knew that clubs like Real Madrid were coming in, that clubs like Manchester City were coming in.
Well, before I bring this in, Kev, because I think that you can also pull this all the way back to the summer. If you know what I mean, from Liverpool's point of view, there was a player that everyone thought that Liverpool were going to sign in mid-July. And then from there, you end up in a situation where Liverpool don't. It holds up, it takes loads and loads of time, and then it falls through on the 31st of August. Like, to me, if you want to say that Liverpool have misjudged all of this, for me that misjudgment isn't necessarily today, it isn't necessarily the 1st of January, it isn't even necessarily the 31st of August, it's the whole summer. Yeah. They thought they were going to get this player out of the club, and they emphatically failed to do so. And, if that was a deal that they really wanted to do, that's where the first and I'd argue the key failing is.
Yeah, and I've been thinking over the last couple of days that the suits have come under a lot of scrutiny in recent days and months and weeks and months, and rightly so. But one of the things that's sort of irking me is I'm worried that they don't value centre-back as a position, because we brought in Konate in 2021, I think it was, and since then we brought in Leone, and what happens there is by the by. It just seems like they don't value that position. Why have we shipped off Quansah? It seems like Quansah could have been that young English player that we could have blooded through. He's doing really well. He's an England international now. It's the devaluation of the centre back position that's slightly worrying me. Is this an issue with the club where they don't understand that the value for the centre back is possibly higher than an attacker now? If you want a quality world class centre back, how much is Bastoni going to cost? If you want Bastoni from Inter Milan, who's probably top of the list. He's probably going to cost you about 120 million, surely. That's what worries me. It's this sort of like pragmatic, think tank of really clever football heads who just seem to have dropped an absolute clanger there.
Does it feel like a clanger to you?
Yeah, I feel like it's been a clanger, as you said, since last summer, and now, because he's obviously going to City, when you've just said about Bastoni, then every other club who might have a centre half who might want to leave, they know they can get an extra 10 million now off us, because that's our first target. He's now gone, and if we get an injury in the next couple of weeks, who's to say, that's when our last starts to come in. So, yeah, I don't really see. I agree with you. I can't really see what the plan is in terms of, if anything, for me, it makes me think that Mark Gahey has been put off by us since August. He's obviously seen what's gone on this season. Is the stuff that he thinks is Slot going to be there next season? Has he been impressed with Slot? And he's thought, well, actually, he might be gone in the summer. I don't know what's going to go on at Liverpool. So to me, it's maybe broadening the horizon, that maybe this is what the outsides is looking at Liverpool now, and that's what people are maybe thinking now. I'm not saying so much that we're in like a crisis or anything, but we're not in the stronger position that we were in the summer, and that's why ultimately this is now happened.
Are you massively concerned, slightly concerned?
I'm pissed off. I'm annoyed at the fact that we should have had them done earlier in the summer. And there may be a reason why we didn't have them done earlier in the summer. It may have been that, obviously, after what happened with Diogo, there was kind of a pause in everything we were doing. So maybe it's a part of the pause and we just didn't chase it. But I think it's unfair of us to say that they don't have a plan when the plan was Van Dijk, Canate, Guéhi, Leone, Gomez. That was the plan. And Leone we get, and then he gets broken in his first game. Guéhi, we know we had him, and we had him to the extent that he was having his photo taken in the kit for the press pack. We know that. We'd sorted out the deal on the wages. We had everything agreed, and he was coming to us. We know that's an absolute gift until the chairman decides to go to the gym for the day, so he completely out of contact.
Hot yoga it was.
Which yoga, fantastic. Fair
Can't
enough.
do a day of hot yoga.
It sounds tiring.
It's honestly, imagine it sweating me pouring out of him.
Maybe it was gym, then hot yoga then.
Yeah, or maybe hot yoga, then some sort of ice bath.
Yeah.
Then a sauna, then an ice bath. He likes ice baths, Steve Parish. Go on.
I would imagine he's had a whole day plan just so he can stay away from the club and not have to have an argument with his manager who didn't want the centre back sold because they don't want to replace him. But the fact is, the manager threw his toys out the pram and said, if he goes, I go. He's gone now anyway, so you've lost 35 million, you're getting 20 million, you're 15 million down on deal. That's bad business on Palace's side. But that was our plan. But then, once that plan falls through, then his agent's hawking him around Europe going, well, 200 grand a week, 250, 300, what do you want to pay him? And
it's not just the wages though, it's the clause,
it's the
buyout fee, yeah.
There'll be the buyout fee. Well, it's 20 million to Palace now, apparently. So there'll be a sign-on fee for the lad that'll be higher than it was, which will probably be the other 15 million. And there's the wages. He can ask whatever he wants. So he's asked whatever he wants. And the club, who can pay anybody whatever they want, have bought him. And if he didn't want to play for us, sound. If that's how he feels. If he wasn't waiting for us, he wasn't waiting for us. Sound. I've got over Michael Laudrup not signing, so I'll get over Mark.
Ian, I think you had your version of events. It was the kind version of events. And you're saying, well, that was the plan. No, there's some supposition, but it's more. Well, that was the plan. It was the plan. But first and foremost, the other thing I remember, and the thing that I think has been proven, by the way, not least because of where Liverpool have found it hard, is one of the key things that's come through last 6 months to me is how important pre-season is.
Yeah.
Liverpool wouldn't have had to have a pre-season. Liverpool don't walk away on the 31st of July and go, there's loads of other centre-backs, we'll go and find a deal somewhere else. They don't do that. Liverpool choose to ride it all the way, for whatever reason, until August the 31st. And now Liverpool have now gone into this season without enough centre-backs. What happens to Leone happens.
Yeah.
Without anywhere enough centre-backs, having had a difficult season, and haven't had, by the way, the centre-back who he would have challenged for a place, having, let's say, and be kind, at the minute, he's played quite well recently, a very inconsistent campaign.
Well, his first 2 months were an absolute nightmare.
So we end up in this situation. So, Liverpool, as I say, your kind version of events was, well, there is the plan and this was the plan.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say, well, what was the contingency on July the 31st? What was the contingency on August the 15th? What was the contingency coming into January the 1st?
I think the contingency on July the 31st was, well, we've got until August the 31st. Now, that could be naive, but we have...
Well, it's been proven to be wrong.
It's
I'm not going to say naive, but it's been proven to be incorrect. It didn't work out that way.
But we did have the lad until the manager pulls him at the very last second, which I don't think you'd have foreseen because we were signing them that day.
Well, the thing with that is, although it happened so late, that could have happened at any point. If we'd squared away the deal in June, for example.
We should have gone in earlier.
Well, we should have gone in earlier and we should have agreed a price that Parish just says to his manager, well, you have to fuck off then, because that's the money that I've agreed and it's a really good price.
Although Glasner was saying to them, well, you haven't got me the lad you promised to get me that would replace him.
Yeah. But loads of the summer, and this comes back to the summer, and I think there's a bit of a thing for me in the summer camp where Liverpool, I think Liverpool are really rational. So I don't want to act as though, let's be clear, these people who are making these decisions, they're really well informed, they're smart
really well
people,
paid.
they've worked in football for years, they're really well paid, they're really good at what they do, and I don't want to act like I'm saying that they're not really good at what they do. But they've ended up in situations dealing with clubs who haven't acted rationally. Liverpool always want to act rationally, it's one of the strengths. Some would say they're too committed at times to acting rationally. But Newcastle went out of the way to act irrationally for an extended period, and Liverpool don't get that player, so he gets no pre-season, no time to work with his teammates. Palace act irrationally in the end. It's now fair to say it's not rational for Palace to have ended up doing what they've ended up doing. But Liverpool should know that. That's why I'm frustrated. Liverpool don't get to say we're the rational ones and anyone who deals with us, our rationality rubs off like fucking magic.
Tell it to Villa.
Yeah. exactly tell to Villa. Another one where Villa are now acting irrationally on the 31st of August, and it's done what it's done to them. That's what I'm frustrated about, Cam. Liverpool act like, well, it'll all come together, it'll all be a plan, everyone will come, it'll all make sense in the end. Well, this one just sort of doesn't now.
Well, that's the thing about how many times we've been in this situation where we've just been like, oh yeah, it'll all work out. It's like the winter of 2021 with the whole centre-half situation again. Maybe not to the extent, because obviously we haven't got to the point where we're playing midfielders and defence and whatnot. Hopefully, touch wood, yeah.
Although Reece Williams is still kicking about.
Nice one. But yeah, it's always like, oh yeah, it'll all work out. But these clubs, no, like there's a reason why clubs like Liverpool are going for them players, because it's their club's best players. So you can't just be like, oh yeah, it's all going to work out, because you've seen it now. It doesn't always work out, and when it does, like Isak, for example, don't get Preseason out of him, and then now he's out injured. So do we now change it? How we do it? Do we do it where it's more just, do we change the policy of like, well, if he's our first choice, and that's it. He's our first, second, third choice. Or maybe have to go start going back to the days where it's like, well, do we go for the second choice and then building what would be better than the first choice? Because there's something not right, because it always seems to be us, ultimately, with my point. It always seems to be us that are in this situation, and it's every either end of August or end of January. All the news on the shows like this, it's always the same conversations, and it's just not acceptable, to be honest.
It's a frustrating situation. It is, however, Friday night. We are in the Vernon Arms. Oliver Glasner is leaving Crystal Palace at the end of the season. He's heard about the French onion soup. We are with our friends at Erdinger, and we're very, very pleased to be so. And we will be back in a second to talk about the Reds in practice on the football pitch. It is the Friday night. It is in the Vernon Arms on Dale Street. I keep trying to say Duke Street. There's not Duke Street. Lots of good pubs on Duke Street. But this is Dale Street, where there's also a number of excellent pubs. If you ever come to Liverpool, feel free to have a little mooch up here. And as I say, the Vernon is most definitely one of the best the city has to offer, as is the Pint of Erdinger. They play Burnley, obviously, on Saturday. Cam, manager's press conference today, bits and pieces of it I think are quite interesting. Talks about wanting to get more numbers in the penalty area. Talks about wanting to work on creating more opportunities to go with the possession. He's an interesting fellow, the manager. You get the impression he's almost as pissed off as we are that they're not creating more. He just sort of keeps dropping it in there as though we're working on this, we're trying to sort this out. And there's elements of times when I'm a bit like, it is your job, but then you get the impression he's actually working really hard at it, and then he's watching them thinking, lads, come on, a little bit more. They do need to, I think, show some creativity against Burnley.
Yeah, I think, we just went back to basics the last few weeks where he's needed to. He's had to have a rebuild during a rebuild season. And yeah, I think tomorrow's the day where we've got to be like, get off your seat a bit. Do you know, where it doesn't get to 40 minutes and it's like, come on. And then we eventually might get the goal. It needs to be a bit exciting, because as much as this game, it's just as important. We need to be firing on all cylinders for Wednesday or Tuesday, whenever Marseille is. Wednesday, yeah, because that is.
Are you going out, by the way?
Pardon?
Are you going out?
No, I'm not. But no, it's going to be massive. So we need a good performance there on Saturday, because we're going to enter, a Lions Den essentially on Wednesday. So yeah, we need something exciting and some way you can come away from the game where, even though we've been winning, how many times you haven't talked in the pubs after the game and it's like, it's still boring, though, wasn't it? We need to where we can come out and it's like, well, do you know what? You can see what they're trying to do there. Just go to the match and be able to see what they're trying to influence. That's all you want. That's what I want anyway.
Well, but it's also what he wants. Kev, that was the thing about the press conferences. He was sort of saying, we are working on this, almost emphatically saying, I think it's interesting because he's saying you can't do massive changes over the course of the season. He does talk a little bit about details. But you get the impression, I think he likes attacking football. And I think part of why he's brought in is that he likes attacking football. I think you look at his final side, it was a very attacking side. I think he likes attacking football, and he would like to now be a bit more attacking. And it was interesting when he said that the sort of players, the midfielders who like the ball, they're not the sort of midfielders who crash the box. But maybe one or two of them is just going to have to. Maybe we just need a bit more of that.
It was funny because his line on that was kind of like, I've said that to them. I've said sometimes you have to crash into the box and use your head and be a bit more physical. But I mean, he's right in that our midfielders do love balls into feet, and that's that. Of course he's an attacking manager, that's why we brought him in. And he took umbrage to the fact that people were saying that it was boring football recently. He seemed pretty irked by that. I thought it was an interesting presser because he looked a little bit more relaxed to me than usual. I thought he looked a little bit more chilled out, a lot more chatty. It was a bit of a longer one. Mo's question was great about spaces in the box, and he was talking about those fine margins and how we can benefit from them. And I was hoping that, I said this on a previous show, but I was hoping that sort of rough Christmas period, now that it's over and we've got the FA Cup tie out of the way, I wonder if this is the time where he does start to sort of default back to that football that we were used to last season, you know, a little bit more attacking and more options. I think he's frustrated I don't think he's frustrated with his own coaching and his own methods. I think he's frustrated with the players. And to be fair, we've not really been that harsh on the players this season. It's a lot of it's been on the coaching staff, and that's fair enough.
All the transfer stuff.
All the transfer stuff and the suits that we've just done. But we do need to be critical of the players. I mean, Dom's mistake in the FA Cup seems like a mental issue. Van Dijk's against PSV seems like a mental issue. There's a lot of mental issues. Kanate against Leeds seems like a mental issue.
I don't think Dom's was a mental issue. I think it was him trying to be a smart ass.
Let's not get into it.
Top and bottom of it, he's being a smart ass and he got bit.
Sure, yeah. I agree with you there, but I think that sort of leads back to the mental side of it. I'm wondering if he is sort of, a bit frustrated with how we're acting mentally, and it's a bit like, lads, you're really good at footy, how about we just see a little bit of that, and that would be huge. I agree with Cam on this being a building block into Marseille, because when was the last time we had, off the back of a performance, went into another really positive performance? I think we can say that happened once, and it was probably Inter into Brighton. And then after that, it's 1 up, 1 down, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So I'd love a really positive performance. Like Cam says, I want to get into the ground, I want to get it bouncing, I want to sing that we're the champions. I miss singing that we're the champions. I just want to see a really, really strong performance, a dominating performance. I don't want to see this horseshoe against a low block. I want to see us try little bits and bats and see what we can get up to.
They're the worst team in the country, is my genuine view.
Yeah.
The numbers suggest that, the eye suggests that. I feel as though Wolves are beginning to find some essence of themselves.
Well, Wolves against us were far better than their position dictates.
Their last defeat, by the way, was us.
There's also last defeat,
they're beginning to get a little bit. Burnley don't seem to have it, but Burnley made it very hard for us at their place.
They did, and they've got
95th minute penalty.
They've got good defenders, Ian, and they've got 2 good defensive midfielders. They've got good defenders. I'm not saying that these are good defensive midfielders in terms of you can go and drop them into a side that's got the desire to come in the top 10 and they could play progressively, but they can sit in front of a back 5 and fight for their lives. Yeah. So there will have to be an element of patience, but I think seeing Liverpool try things is what everyone would love to see.
Yeah, and I think the other night against Barnsley, obviously lower league opposition than Burnley, but it was a team that came with a low block, and we were a changed team, but we found the ways through, and especially once we had Ekatike and Wirtz on the pitch, suddenly we were breaking through them. And it's the whole conversation about slot wanting midfielders to break into the box. That was literally Dom's job all last season. So why has he stopped doing it? And I think the only answer can be Florian Wirtz. We still don't know where Florian Wirtz plays. So it unbalances what we're doing. Again, going back to everything we talked about all season, we don't know what the original plan was because we've never had a chance to see the original plan. So we're still making up what we're doing on a week by week basis. So if you just get Dom to do what he was doing last season, put Florian out on the left, and make it a 4 up front. Maybe that's the way forward for this one.
Who are you picking then?
I don't know who's going on the right. It might be a case of actually starting Chiesa, but I doubt it because every time he starts, he's underwhelming. Ekatike has to start, Flo has to start, Dom has to start. McAllister, his last couple of games, I think he's looking like he's getting back to himself. It could be a case of Gravenberch, McAllister, Jones, Szoboszlai on the right maybe, but then you're not getting a midfielder breaking into the box unless you're using McAllister to do it. So if you're going 4-3-3, then you just got to depend on those 3. You've got to depend on Ekatike not having to drop deep to get the ball.
Frimpong right back, Kerkers left back, the 2 centre halves and the goalkeeper.
That's it, yeah. That's what we've got.
Any advance on that? That's what you do?
Yeah, near enough. Having a little think then. I think he'll do them 2 at the full backs and just bomb on. Because if you get him by his press conference, he's trying to hint at going a bit more quicker, a bit more faster, bodies into the box, and that's how you're going to do with them 2 at the full back. So,
yeah, I think so. What I like about that as well is, I wouldn't say that I like about it, but you've got Jones off the bench, which is always.
No, he's picked Jones, I think.
Did you have Jones in there?
So I could put Dom up on the right hand side. I've got Jones, Gravenberch, and Castle. I literally have no sub options at all, with the exception of Calvin Ramsey.
You've got Gakpo.
Got Gakpo, yeah, I've got Gakpo. Forgot about Gakpo altogether. So Gakpo, Rio, Chiesa, your sub options.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Who would you go for?
I'd play off the right. I'd play Ingamoa.
Would you?
Yeah. And the reason why
so that you can add the extra midfielder off the bench.
I look at it the other night.
Yeah.
So you end up in a situation where I play Viet off the left with the idea that Kirkes can get round and offer tons of width. I'd have Rio off the right in that he can go both ways, and so can Frimpong. And there's explosive pace there, but one of them can always pull wide. Because when you come up against a back five, because it will be a back five, you want to string them out as much as possible and then hit the spaces. But also, I think that moving forward, the idea of Frimpong, Szoboszlai and a wide right, we hope being Mo Salah, will be the way we'll play. And so beginning to get into that groove a little bit is no bad thing. And then off the left, Viet, Jones and Kirkes being a little triangle. I like that little triangle.
That works really well.
It works really well, like this little triangle. And then Ekitike to come and join, Gravenberch to come and join, and go from there. And I also think that midweek is when, so you've got McAllister as a sub, Gakpo as a sub, Robertson as a sub, Gomez as a sub, Chiesa as a sub. So you've got yourself subs all the way up and down the pitch there. And then also you've got your eye on, I would start up the all four of them team is what, and Viet is what I would do in Marseille. So you're just doing a little bit of a refresh, and I'd probably also start McAllister at Bournemouth. So just a little bit of a rest, planning on it going and being a little bit different across the next two, and begin to keep the freshness in the squads a little bit more as players begin to come back to fitness. But I think, also I'll say again, I think we will rank the games at the end of the season, and I think this will be, let's do the cliche of there's no easy game for the Premier League, etc., etc. This is the easiest game. So let's play the young, exciting talent and say to him, you're going to get an hour. And you started the other night, so you're not coming in from the cold. Go and enjoy this. There's possibly not another one coming, but go on, have this one. And that also sets up Salah coming back.
I like that. I like the idea of Rio having much more exposure to Premier League football. I think the manager had said something along the lines of, well, you came off with cramp against the League One side, and it's a bit different in the Premier League. So what's the use in saying that? Why not just throw him in and see how he gets on?
But also you can just make it 55.
Exactly.
You'll have your sub.
Exactly. You've got your sub as well. Yeah, interesting. I've never really thought of Rio as an option from the right, just because we were so used to seeing him on the left. But he was good on Monday.
I'd only do it in this game.
No.
In a bit of a funny way, because you know they're going to sit so deep, and you want to make the pitch so big. The idea is someone who can just go on the outside as well. I think this game just makes a ton of sense for it.
Yeah.
Do you know it would be really useful in a game like this to go against their back five? A Harvey Elliott type figure who can sit in the pocket inside the right full back.
We don't have him.
We don't have him. It'd be really useful.
He's not there for us. We all think we're going to win. I'll say again, I genuinely think it is. I think these will come 20th.
I think that they've got the poorest manager in the league. I think he's a one-plan man, and I think that he's just at his wit's end and he doesn't really know what else to do. I think they've got good players, and I think they're a decent side. They will go down. I would like this to see. I'm sick of saying turning a corner, but I'd like to see this as let's put in a little bit of a performance of we can beat a team that have come up, a freshly promoted side. We've had some absolute stinkers so far with Leeds and Sunderland, so how about we put in a proper performance here? And I do like the fight and talk of, I like my attacking football and I want my attackers to attack and I want them to try things. It's kind of a gauntlet thrown down in the press conference. Who knows what he's been saying in the dressers and in the training sessions. A really bright performance from our attackers in midfield, and no mistakes from the defence is all you can ask for.
There we are then. Excellent stuff. We're in the Vernon. We are with Erdinger, and I think we're going to bounce out of Anfield. See you later on.